Today is Kaneki Kin and Arima Kishou's birthday. They were both born on December 20th. Not to be mistaken for Heisei Sasuke's birth, which is April 2nd, because we're counting Kaneki Kin, his true birthday. And I want to focus this video on these two characters and how much they have developed throughout the entirety of this year, since the first chapter of January 2016. I want to talk about all the content that has happened, for instance, focusing around Arima and Kaneki. So, just let's take a moment to realize how much has really happened in just 1 year's time. The first chapter that came out in January 2016 was a chapter with Kaneki and Furuta playing good and bad cop. Kaneki was giving a crazy-ass grin that looked straight up evil, and so was Furuta. That's kind of how the year of Tokyo Ghoul restarted this year. Furuta and Kaneki working side by side to hunt down Eto. And when you really think about the conclusion of this year, you realize that these two are on opposite sides now. They're no longer working together. They're on opposite sides. One is the Black King, and one is the White King. And it just really throws you for a loop when you think about how maybe Ishida planned all of this just to kind of start the year off with, these two characters working together, but then it ends off with these two characters completely separated because they are mortal enemies and they need to fight each other for what they believe in. So that's really cool. I like how Ishida did that and how he started this year off, but that wasn't the big moment of this year. One of the crowning moments of this year of Tokyo Ghoul Re, which I think everyone is going to remember, is Arima Kishou and Kaneki Kin's battle. These two's battle was something that blew my expectations away. We knew eventually it would happen, but the development Kaneki Kin got, it reached whole new levels, a new plateau, so to say. And Arima as a character surprised me. I already loved his character, but the development and characterization he got with his fight with Kaneki just exceeded all expectations. And just thinking about what this year stands for, and how it stands for how much Kaneki has developed, how he started off to where he's at now, it's crazy when you think about it. Let's just look back at all the things that happened. The year begins off with Kaneki kind of wanting to die. He wants to die. He has no reason to live. He's willing to just throw his life away for the sake of others, and he doesn't give a shit. He's just done. And he was going to save Hinami in the Ghoul prison and throw his life away fighting Arima. He was just going to go fight him, go die, at least Hinami is safe. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't give a shit about his life at all, and how much this would hurt others if he was to die. He just thought he was doing the right thing if he was just gone. If he was dead, it'd be fine, as long as if he can save someone before he drops dead. And that is the sad beginning of this year of Tokyo Ghoul. And the Arima and Kaneki fight was not just about fighting. It was more about the development of Kaneki Kin and how he is now going to shape the series into a new direction. If we think about one of the big things that were said since earlier on in Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki stated that the world is very twisted and broken. He said, this world is messed up. It's fucked up. There needs to be some form of balance between the species. Just something needs to be done here, because what it is right now, it's just fucked up. This world is completely ruined. And when you think about it like that, all the stuff that was been, developing since the beginning, even in part 1, has finally been brought to the table for this year of Tokyo Ghoul. Ishida Sensei has done so much for this year when it comes to the core plot of Tokyo Ghoul. It's absolutely insane. He has shifted over to the main focus of V. He's shifted over to the Washu clan, to the origins of some of the ghouls that are now the main controllers of the world, to the birdcage, to also settling the stuff with Arima Kishou and Kaneki. Kaneki now coming full circle and realizing everything from the past and also developing to where he now wants to live. There's just so much that's happened this year, along with him taking the mantle of the One-Eyed King, to other characters dying here and there, Tatra, Eto, Arima, even Hide's possible, death, we don't really know completely about that. There's other characters that have died too, and it's crazy when you realize how much Ishida Sensei has done this year. But getting back on topic, talking about Kaneki, the one big thing I have to say about Tokyo Ghoul is that Ishida Sensei knows how to develop a main character. I have read a lot of manga. Countless manga. Shonen, shoujo, seinen, and josei. I have read a lot of these different types of manga for different age groups. And I will say that usually when I read a manga series, it's like very rare, but usually when I read one, there tends to be a point to where I don't really care about the main character, but I care more about the support or side characters, maybe even the villain. I care more about these said characters than the main character. And I can say this for a majority of the series I review. I can definitely say this, just straight up and say, majority of the series I review, I care more about support or side characters than the main MC. And necessarily this isn't a bad thing, but also it isn't a good thing as well. And I really appreciate how Ishida-sensei really develops Kaneki Ken. And how I actually have to say he is probably my favorite character of Tokyo Ghoul. Now hear me out, I love Tsukiyama Shu. He is probably second. He's second place. I love his character. But for me to say this about a main character, it actually surprises me, because like I said, when it comes to series I've read, support or side characters usually interest me more, because they just maybe have a quirky personality, or the way they stand out, they seem like they would be a better MC. Just something about these side or support characters I've seen throughout series just seems like they would be overall better. But Kaneki Ken is not like that. There's a vast majority of the characters throughout Tokyo Ghoul that are so good. They have such good characterization and development, and honestly, I cannot go for them all, because there's just that many good characters throughout the series of Tokyo Ghoul that Ishida-sensei has written. But Kaneki Ken stands on top because the development this man has gotten since the beginning to where he is right now at the end of 2016. Just this year alone of 2016 has really done so much for his character that it just boggles my mind. Once again, talking about the beginning stages of this year of Tokyo Ghoul Re and where Kaneki started at, he wanted to die. He wanted to be a martyr. And then Arima showed him the light. He opened his eyes up to what life meant and what Kaneki needs to do. And Hide as well. Kaneki finally found the reason to live, to continue moving forward, to protect himself before protecting others. And Arima had to give up his life before Kaneki could actually see this. And it wasn't even that of why Arima died too. He also died to set in motion the revolution of the world, to change the world for good, and remove the twisted birdcage that has corrupted and changed this world for so many years. And Kaneki has finally been given the chance to do this. He is making a movement right now. There's humans that are now probably wanting to join up with the ghouls and help them out, and when you have ghouls all flocking to Kaneki because he destroyed the Grim Reaper, which was Arima Kishou, and they want to help out Kaneki. They look at this person like an idol, which Kaneki Ken is. So Kaneki Ken right now, how many levels he's moved up into is crazy. It's really crazy when you look at what has happened this year for his character. And it's so sad when we realize all that's happened too. I mean, to the point of when Kaneki, he was so down in the dumps, and he realized what had to be done. For instance, when Arima died, and he was there for his death, and he revealed the entire truth of what happened, what he was, and how he was already dying, and how, he had his eyes from, messing up and stuff. Just all the stuff that was revealed this year, it made it to where Kaneki grew as a person. And it's just amazing when you realize how young this man is and where he started to where he is now if you look at his age. And just Ishida-sensei continues to craft such a great character. And that can be said the exact same for Arima Kishou. Even though he didn't get as much character development as Kaneki Ken, I think what makes him such a good character was his meaning of what he did. He was a character that was a monster, but he was someone that really hated what he did. He was stressed. He realized what he did was pure evil, but he did it because he had to do it. And when he finally found someone he could truly leave on a legacy with, leave something behind, that's what hits you about his character. He states, "I've killed so many. I've destroyed so much. But finally, I have left something behind. Something is behind. Once I leave, I have finally left something to live." And that's what he did. Kaneki is Arima Kishou's testament, his legacy. And Kaneki knows this. And the same could be said for Eto as well. If you really look at the development of what's been going on this series, Eto and Arima are the original One-Eye King. Like, they both pretty much sat on the throne. They sat on the throne and were dictating how the world was going to be changing and how they were keeping the seat warm for Kaneki. And with the death of Eto and Arima, the legacy had to be passed on. Ogiri Tree crumbled. the entire foundation of Oguri Tree pretty much is non-existent at this time, but majority of the members that lived on have moved into Kaneki's camp. Some of the members from CCG have moved into Kaneki's camp as well after the death of Arima, and now you have a faction that is from both sides, human and ghoul alike, and Kaneki now is taking charge, leading this into what he needs to do to change the world and actually make it a better place for both sides, not just for ghouls, not just for humans, but for both sides to equally coexist with each other. It's going to be an uphill battle, but it's finally happening, and Kaneki leading the reins, it just shows so much development that he has gotten throughout the series since part 1 and this year alone, and just Ishida Sensei continues to just boggle my mind of how he does this with every individual chapter. So, I just want to say, I dedicate this video to Arima Kishou because of, his death, and also Kaneki Kin, too. It's both their birthdays, both great characters for what they stand for, and it's just been an amazing year of Tokyo Ghoul. If you really just take a moment to think, it's been such a crazy year. I mean, we've had one of the longest arcs of TG happen this year with Rue Island and stuff, and a bunch of major characters dying or having big fights and stuff, to so many crazy moments of development, not just for Kaneki Kin or Arima Kishou, but for other characters as well. It just, Ishida Sensei continues to pump out quality content, and I can't wait to see what he does for 2017. I mean, if there's anything that this year has told us, is that Ishida Sensei has not lost his quality writing. He actually continues to get better with his writing by the chapter, and I feel like the reason why Tokyo Ghoul has been such a good series this year is because Ishida has crafted this story since the very beginning, since chapter 1. He has written this story in a way to where it had this slow build-up, but then now we're at the point where all these little things that he's built up and he's threw into the individual chapters here and there, maybe chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 80, chapter 55, chapter 120, all these little chapters he's probably threw in some foreshadowing. All of that is now coming to the front and center. For instance, right here on the table where we now see what's going on. The Birdcage, One-Eye King, Eto, Arima, Tatara. Yeah, we have, Almon. We have the QS, Washu Clan, Furuta, Sota, Clowns, Donato. I mean, when you think about all of these things, all that has happened this year, all of this build-up, it's just been an amazing year. It has. So, yeah, I want to conclude this video just to say that Ishida Sensei continue to write quality chapters. I love your work. Definitely one of my favorite series to read and talk about. I just really love this series, and I can probably say the same for all of you Chibis as well. I'm assuming all of you love this series just as much as I do, because, or maybe even more actually. I know many of you love this series, and it's thanks to you guys too I can get so much into the series and discuss it with you, because you guys enjoy these videos. So I'm very happy, and just, it's just been quite a year of TG. Thoughts, everybody? Thoughts on everything that has happened? I mean, just looking back at everything. I mean, looking back at Kaneki to Arima and, all the other characters. I mean, just, how do you feel? How do you feel about everything that's happened and changed for good? And one last thing I do want to say, though, that I do appreciate about Tokyo Ghoul, is that when something happens in Tokyo Ghoul, it's permanent. And that is something I think that continues to make me happy about the writing. He doesn't even need to put all the foreshadowing to symbolism. He doesn't even need to do that. That's just something I truly love to see, but I would still probably love Tokyo Ghoul almost just the same amount, even if that wasn't if Ishida continues to make things permanent. And what I mean by that is when something happens in Tokyo Ghoul, something very important, like maybe a death, to a character getting harmed, to an argument, maybe a relationship shatters, anything. When something happens in Tokyo Ghoul, usually it holds weight. It's not something that just disappears and never is mentioned again, or something that doesn't carry on with the character. And you don't know how many series I have read that tends to have like a drama arc or something serious, very serious happens. It gets settled, obviously, but then everything is fine after that, and all this stuff that happened at arc, or whatever type of story is going on, it doesn't seem like the character changed that much on the outside, or even in the inside, after that arc is said and done. It's never even mentioned again. And that's what I love about Tokyo Ghoul. When something happens, it's there for keeps. Arima's death, that is weighing so heavily on Kaneki. He may not mention Arima for the remainder of the series, but that weight is still there for what he's currently doing, just that meaning behind it, why he is the One-Eye King, to also why Eto, too, made him the One-Eye King as well. Not just Arima, but Eto as well. And when you just see all these little things, to Jason's torture, to Kaneki's relationships with the other characters like Toka, and also Ayato, Hinami, and I mean, just the white suit, it's really just hits you. You're like, damn. All these things that happen in this series is permanent. It's not just something that just happens and like, oh, we can brush it aside and it's not really that important. Everything that happens to a said character usually means something. And I feel like that's one of the big important things we need to take from this year of Tokyo Ghoul. Kaneki Kin, once again, continues to develop down a path I never expected when I first started this series. Thinking back on his character of how weak-willed he was, not just physically, but mentally, it really just, it's crazy. So, Ashita, continue to do what you're doing. I'm going to end this video here. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.